Good evening and welcome to another edition of Friday Night Magpie Live. And it's a bit of a show first. This is the first show that we have ever actually broadcast from Crawley. I've come down early. I was down in London this afternoon for a couple of meetings. So as the trains are well and truly up the spout tomorrow, 4 changes and a bus from East Grinstead for any brave Notts fan doing it by rail tomorrow. I've popped down to Crawley this evening. The trains are running fine, so I'm in a little Premier Inn about a mile from the ground. I walked down to the ground earlier just to have a quick look. Crawley's ground is not always renowned for being the best coping with rain, but I had a little sneak in around the back of the doors and all looks fine for tomorrow. What have we got on the show tonight then? Well, transfer news. In has come James Belshaw. Out has gone Callaroos on loan to Kilmarnock for the rest of the season. So Belshaw, a big Notts fan, a big Notts supporting family, as I think we're all well aware, is set to make his full debut for Notts just over 20 years after he was with us in the academy and on schoolboy forms. That journey has taken him over to America, Nuneaton, Harrogate, Bristol Rovers, Harrogate again, and finally back to Meadow Lane. Know how much he is looking forward to making his debut tomorrow. Going the other way, Callaroos has gone out on loan to Kilmarnock till the end of the season. I'm not 100% sure, but I suspect there is a 24-hour recall in the case of injury to James. What else have we got on the show tonight? Well, Martin Patterson's had a busy presser today with Adam Hassel. He's confirmed that even if there was a loan deadline for the players to be returned, both Tom Iapenda and Tyrese Hall are staying put at Notts. They cannot now be recalled by their parent clubs, that's Huddersfield and Tottenham respectively. Did make me smile a little bit. Martin was saying that Tottenham had no intention of bringing Tyrese back on loan, but if you were reading some of the papers, allegedly Tottenham were looking to put him in the first team squad. Yeah, I'll let you draw your own conclusions in terms of busyness of agents and all the rest of it. But Tyrese and Tom are both staying put at Notts until the end of the season, which I think is very good news. There is strong speculation with potential other departures as well. Kellen Gordon to Crawley is a possible, I believe. Clearly, the game will be gotten out of the way here at Crawley before and if anything was to move on that one. In terms of Mia Traore, again, heard it from several sources that Sligo Rovers are keen on taking him on loan for the rest of the season initially. The League of Ireland season runs kind of through the calendar year rather than an August to April. So watch this space on that one. And in his presser today, Martin said the club was still looking. He wanted to get some more new signings in. Not easy to get anything over the line in the modern footballing world. Wouldn't be drawn clearly on identities. But it does appear that Notts are still looking to further strengthen their squad. Is that good enough for you? Are you looking for more marquee names? Inoru, according to Martin and Brown, the 2 loan signings, will at least be involved in the match day travelling squad coming down. Martin also intimated only 2 players really not in it at the minute. Too early for Scott Robertson, 2 or 3 weeks away, he said, and Rod McDonald is also 2 or 3 weeks away. I take that as meaning both the skipper, Matty Palmer, and brought out of deep freeze in Siberia, Will Jarvis, potentially involved tomorrow. All this and more tonight on your Magpie Friday Night Magpie Live. I'll be reading your thoughts out very shortly. Thank you, as always, to our official partners, the Big Shed at the Trent Navigation and Over the Road, and also JH Accountants. Let's get a few thoughts from the flock on the show. Let's kick off. Spotter's badge goes to, who does it go to tonight? Martin Blaney. Evening, Paul. With Roos going out on loan, we still need another keeper. I think that will be interesting to see what we actually do end up doing there. Ian Cooksey. It's a little bit naughty, but I did afford myself a wry smile. Football is a cruel game, says Ian. Kilmarnock sent us Ian McCulloch 40 years ago. We repay them, 48 years later, by sending them Keller Roos. Leon Barber, 16 days in. We haven't strengthened our first starting 11, bar the keeper, says Leon. The other two are projects signings, inverted commas, for the future. Need oven-ready signings. Can't possibly think whoever might use that phrase. If we want promotion, do they want promotion, i.e. the brothers? David Rayner, he says, "Hey up, everyone. Good to see James Belshaw has signed, but with Roos going, we still need another keeper." Nigel Bosworth, evening to everyone. Let's hope that we can get the win, but we still need another front man. Bud Chatwin, evening all. Sorry to hear about Tony Cuthbert, a good friend. He will be sadly missed. So Tony, for those of you who may or may not know, was long-serving club secretary for Notts. Came in under Derek Pavis and was club secretary for a long period of time. Knew Tony myself, good non-league footballer, played for Ilkeston back in the day, and served Notts with great distinction. Lovely man. I remember one story about Tony. I have actually sort of exchanged a few messages with his son, and as and when the funeral arrangements are confirmed, they will be communicated so people can go along and pay their respects to Tony. One story about Tony, when I was launching my book, One Flew Over the Magpie's Nest, the first one, blimey, it's 10 years ago now, and we got a launch party with a lot of the former players, Lee Hughes, Tommy Johnson, Mark Draper, Brian Stubbs, Les, Brad, loads of them. And I invited everyone down after we'd done the official launch to the navigation. And so all the players came down. There was a party of about 30 of us, free drinks for everyone for coming down to help me launch the book. Tony came after about half an hour. All the lads were there. The lads had other things to do and move on. The last two people in the building with me, one was Derek Pavis, believe it or not, and this wasn't too long before Derek passed away, and the other was Tony Cuthbert. And so a good afternoon was had by all, and I can remember I was picked up, driven home. Derek was with Vivian, and he was kind of rolled out of the pub into the car, and Tony was swaying a bit, but had come in on the train, and off we all departed about 4 hours after the launch. But a lovely chat, banter, and Tony was a really good guy. A great servant to Notts County. Came back a couple of times as well on a part-time basis, and so will be sadly missed. Mine and everybody's, I'm sure, condolences to Tony's family. But Chatwin carries on. If we get a foreign striker in, as some rumours are saying, does that mean we have too many foreign players and have to let one go? Don't think it does, Bud. Don't think it does. Ian Cooks has also added, very sorry to hear of the news about Tony Cuthbert. Ian Cooksey, on the subject of whether we go for another senior goalkeeper, he's got a feeling Tyler Miller will come to Notts as our number 2. Bolton have signed 2 new keepers in this window, so he may be surplus to requirements. Tyler came, was it at the end of last season? Having been released by the MLS. I don't think he actually ended up getting any game time, did he? But stayed in the country and got a contract at Bolton. Ian Cooksey is another name he would like us to have. Elliot Lee is looking to leave Wrexham on loan. Would do a great job as a number 10 for us. Richard Elvian. Martin said earlier today, it's a work in progress on more players. 2 weeks still left to get things done. Evening from John Parnham. Jurgen Pye says, tricky game tomorrow. Crawley busy in the transfer market. Yeah, they've signed, I think it's 4 so far. And it would appear that their manager, Scott Lindsay, is trying to reform the Crawley band that got promoted 3 years ago. Lippy Jane, hope you are recovering well from the hip replacement, Lippy. The 5-year-old podcast on James Belshaw that you did, Paul, was a very good watch. I recommend it to other pies. Yeah, if you've not heard it, it is worth a good listen. I think we did it when James, I'm not sure if it was at Bristol Rovers or Harrogate. Yeah, but we did a long hour and a half podcast with him. His dad's also on it, talking about his affinity to knots. So we've sort of promoted that again in the light of James signing earlier this week. Yeah, Lippy Jane, the podcasts are like a whiskey. They mature with age. A 5-year-old podcast. Yes. Tim Watchell, evening all. The only thing that matters is 3 points tomorrow. That may bump starters after the layoff. Evening from Stephen Newton. Very sad to hear about Tony Cuthbert, a true Notts servant. Royston Patterson, in his interview, said we're a big club, but we seem to struggle to sign decent players. Ian Cooksey replies, it comes down to what we want to pay in wages and possibly perceived ambition. Rosemary Mans. Good evening, Rosemary. I watched the interview with the Belshaws. I really enjoyed it. I also thought it was a very good launch announcement with James, his wife, his young daughter. Thought the club did it very well, and I've exchanged a couple of messages with James. I strongly suspect that was something that he really wanted to put a little bit of time and effort into, given that his career, which has gone completely full circle, has finally materialized at the age of 35 with moving back to Notts, and now looking to make his full debut at Crawley on Saturday afternoon. Magic Boots Agana. Early start for us Yorkshire-based pies it will be. Crawley have been busy in the transfer market, so we need to be in top form. Any news, speculation of more incoming? Not aware of any particular names. Magic Boots. Rosemary Mans, I'm glad to hear that Jarvis is back in the mix. Gaza Lee, I did see something in the papers on this. Kian Etete has unfinished business with us. He'd had a loan spell somewhere. I don't think it worked out too well. Kian, of course, came through Notts' academy. Was sold for £250,000, which was the cap on academy sales, just before the club dropped out of the Football League, and he went to Tottenham. You pies, worried we still don't have backup for Jatta and Dennis, but on the positive side, you pies, Jatta and Dennis are still here, which I think is certainly very important. Rosemary Mans, we need another striker, ? We had the best, but in that awful summer, we let him go. One of our own, David McGoldrick. I can't forgive the club for that. Ian Cooksey, in terms of loans, it seems we can't send Cotter back. Yeah, to pick up on that, it was quite a busy Adam Hassel was sort of firing questions at all from all angles to Pato today. And I think, as I've said to you before, sometimes I feel not just Pato, but managers per se, where very few other people at the club seem to speak with the media or address the media. Yet managers are expected to be up there 3-4 times a week. And as a result of a lack of information that many clubs put out, the manager ends up getting asked about 486 different questions. And so clearly among the plethora of questions about signings today, quite rightly from Adam Hassel, there was one about Barry Cotter. Martin he sidestepped it a little bit, but for me, the inference was he made it clear that the loan hadn't worked out for the club. It hadn't worked out for Barry. Barry knew that. And that Barry had been told that there were players ahead of him. So that to me is Martin making it as clear as crystal, really, that he doesn't foresee, certainly in the current period of time, a way back in for Barry Cotter. But as we've spoken about on previous podcasts, loans are structured in various ways, and if the benefit of signing a club for a full season on loan means the parent club can't automatically take him back, the flip side to that equation is that if you then don't want the player, the parent club don't have to take him back. And I kind of think it's the latter with where we are right now. Hence, Martin doing his best to try to tidy that one up. Rosemary Mann said, James was at Harrogate, right? I couldn't remember if it was Harrogate or Bristol Rovers when he did that podcast. Zedo, outgoings will be interesting. John Parnham, evening, John. In the video that Notch released on training, James looked lively and athletic. Some talk about his age, but if the video is anything to go by, I don't think it will be an issue. Bud Chatwin, lots of players will be available for loan when teams secure new players in the Championship and League One to later date. Loan players will get us promoted and young ones will help us build. Andy Easom's just joined. In Tony Cuthbert and Jason Turner, we couldn't have wished for two finer members of off-the-field staff. Both did their utmost to keep the good ship Notts County on an even keel. And as we all know, Andy and the flock, keeping Notts County on an even keel is a very, very, very challenging operation at the best of times. Black Sox Pie, my counting may be off, but have Crawley signed 9 in January? I've not been keeping tally, Black Sox, from across the pond in America. They've signed quite a few, and it does appear that Scott Lindsay has gone back for several of those players that helped get promotion when he was there first time around. And I think that in part has led to some speculation around Kellen Gordon. But again, nothing on that will be happening before Saturday's game. Watch this space next week. What else have we got? I made a few notes earlier, so I've not got my double screen here because I'm in the Premier Inn, you see. So excuse me while I tidy up a few points from Martin's presser. In terms of the loans, Jayden Luca. Yeah, Martin gave an update on Jayden Luca, and Jayden's been away for a while. Had to have an operation. He's been recuperating with Luton, but that loan is still running. Now, Martin estimates that Jayden can potentially be back towards the back end of the season. So in other words, we've got him on loan for the rest of the season, and subject to him recovering in time, we will have him available to us for the closing months of the season. So certainly that gives us another attacking option, potentially, not right now, but in a couple of months or so time. Timeline, I think, as we mentioned earlier, Scott Robertson, a couple of weeks away still, likewise Rod McDonald. Other than that, said Martin, a clean bill of health. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of competition for places tomorrow. Martin was saying, interestingly, I think a lot of us had it down as it seems such a long time ago now, doesn't it? New Year's Day, Accrington. Not that we particularly want to be reminded about it, but I think a lot of us thought it was a strategic postponement 3 days later for the home game. But it transpires, according to Martin, that he was desperate to play, kicking their heels. It's given them an opportunity to refresh and go again. But Martin said they would rather have been playing games than not playing games. So I think it will be very interesting squad-wise tomorrow. Sounds as if Matty Palmer is going to be available again. Be surprised if he doesn't start. I certainly think one of Jarvis or Inoru will be on the bench. Martin spoke about Inoru giving Notts an option that they don't necessarily have at the moment, which I think is very valid. We've often spoke, haven't we, about since Naman left, there's not really been anyone with real pace in the team, and Inoro definitely has that. I think I said on the show with Mark Stallard earlier this week, I was speaking with Jordan Richards, son of Notts County legend Pedro. Jordan plays for Boston United, and they've played Tamworth twice this season. I was asking him about Inoru, and he said, decent player, lightning quick, still learning the game, but Jordan felt he definitely had enough in the locker to be able to play League Two football. Interestingly, he said he's a wide man, he's a winger, and the points that Martin raised today was that he's a winger. I guess I'll be interested to see, as others will be, I'm sure. We don't actually play wingers. We play wing backs, don't we? Sometimes wing backs can be very attack minded if you're dominant in the game. Other times those wing backs are required to do a lot more defending to help out the back three. So I think that will be quite interesting. Whether Inoru gets a chance 10-15 minutes, maybe as a 10 to run beyond defenders, that's another option, I guess, for Martin. But equally, I can understand there's quite a lot of Notts fans still concerned that we've not necessarily signed more seasoned players, know what you're going to get from them. That said, I think we were all very pleased that James Belshaw has come in. No one wishes to dance on people's graves, of course. I think it's fair to say that the whole Kel Roos transfer hasn't worked out for him, hasn't worked out for us either. And so well done to whoever, agent Richard Montague, for sorting out a loan to Kilmarnock. They're in the Scottish Prem, so Kel's getting good football, playing against his former club Aberdeen. He'll have dates against Celtic, Rangers, decent sized games against Hearts and Hibernians. So, I think that's a good move for him. And hopefully that can work out and be the next stage of his career. I do think it's a salutary lesson. So I was trying to remember the chronology and had to check it out. Martin Patterson arrived just before the start of pre-season. And we went on to Germany quite quickly after that. Roberto Gagliardi brought Cala Roos out on the trip to Germany, and Roos was then subsequently signed. And I think it is a salutary lesson. However much you have data, however much you have directors of football, I personally think you have to have proper input from the head coach or the manager, because clearly it hasn't worked out. I suspect if Martin had been left to his own devices, then that would not have been a signing that would have been made. However, the club felt it was right. I don't ever particularly think there was a massive buy-in from Martin Patterson. And when I look at James Belshaw, I think there's probably a lot more synergy between head coach and goalkeeper. And one or two members of the flock have pointed out to me, and I did notice this myself, the model for not signings is to have extensive quotes, which, to be honest, I can never really understand half of them or what they actually mean. Extensive quotes from the director of football, no comment from the manager, and players' photos are invariably taken just by the player themselves. This time there was a photo with James Belshaw and Martin, which is one of the very first times I can remember a photo taken with Martin on it with a new signing. So all sorts of conspiracy theories abound. But look, I think it's good business. I think it's good business. And I certainly think in terms of the goalkeeping situation, there has been alignment between the brothers, Richard Montague, and the head coach. And that for me is great. Yeah, I'm not always sure that is the case, but I think in this particular signing there is. Now the proof is in the pudding. But I think it's pretty irrefutable that the head coach wanted James Belshaw, wanted a senior keeper to come in. Let's go back to the flock. Either I've been talking rubbish and you want to argue with me or whatever. But lots more messages come on, which is good. Where are we? Michael Fido, he's done the research on Crawley. Crawley have signed 8 and are looking for more. I guess really they are at this moment in time playing the cards on keeping themselves up in the Football League, aren't they? They are one of the clubs that are under real pressure at the bottom, who could be relegated. John Parnham, it would be a shame for me if Kellen Gordon left. As a player, he has great quality. Rosemary Mans, I'll never forget Wembley with Jason Turner's picture on the opposite stand. RIP, and my condolences to Tony Cuthbert's family. Adam Kent, Hall and Iapenda won't be leaving either. That's quite correct, Adam. Ian Cooksey, Oldham game rearranged for the 24th of March, which gives us 3 away games on the trot. I'll just want to pick up on something with fixtures in a minute when I've read this batch of messages out, Ian. John Parnham agrees. A real shame for me if Kellen left. Bud Chatwin, the man had pace but didn't like tackling in case he got injured. Let's just say his principal attribute was his pace, Bud, and I suspect that is the case with Inoru. For me, I think it is always an interesting debate, wingers and wing backs. For me, they're different positions. But in the modern game, you're kind of expecting a winger to be able to play wing back and a full back to be able to play wing back. Not sure myself. You Pies, 1862. Hopefully Palmer back tomorrow, as we've really missed him. He makes us tick. Essie Kent, if Palmer starts and is captain, does that make Platt his vice captain? Would love Beddoe to stay as captain, but unlikely. Gary Phillips on the overall recruitment so far. Decent business for me in the window. Most of us know that it is a tough window. No big players sold is good news. I still think we will do more business. Maybe loans out Traore and one young keeper, and maybe some other youngsters. Adam Kent, when will we get the tickets for the Jim O'Brien night, or is it collection on the night? They are all electronic, Adam. You will have been sent, when you bought them, you'll have been sent a little link, a bit like when you get e-tickets for certain clubs. Get in touch if you're struggling with them. Andy Eason, think Martin Patterson expertly sidestepped the status of Barry Cotter. Suspect a small print of the loan deal prevents us from sending him back from whence he came. Yes, he was kind of the only really experienced player in the not senior cup. Was it quarter final? at Basford United. We're not great in cups. We got knocked out of that one as well. 2 or 3-1, I think it was. Although Basford haven't got a bad team. Rosemary Mans. Patterson had to deal with what had come in and get on with it as best he could since he arrived through the door. Pythagorean thought Max Boruk did well in Germany, deserving of a contract then. Ian Cooksey, I think you are right, Paul, especially when you take in Martin Patterson's comments regarding the goalkeepers we had on trial. John Parnham, I wish Keller was well, although he made errors. Although he made errors, he wasn't all bad. In fact, he made some good saves. Greza Maxwell, evening Greza. Richard Montague is having to unpick all the poor work done with Gagliardi. Rosemary Mans, certainly it's been better business so far than in the summer. Ian Cooksey, Greza, which is what is affecting this window, in my opinion, in terms of budget. It's a point that's been made by Mark Stellon on many occasions. Even with Keller moving on, we're something like 28 pros, which is too big for a League Two group. And that doesn't necessarily include the really young pros, like a Harrison who wins it or whatever. And so collectively, all those salaries get added onto the budget. And don't forget, the reality with us loaning players out, you're not going to get those other clubs paying all their wages. These things tend to be done on a percentage basis. And although Kilmarnock may be in the SPL, then they're not a big club. They're not a big club in terms of support and all the rest of it. So whether Notts are still paying a proportion of Keller's wages, wouldn't be surprised at that at all. John Parnham, I am delighted that we now have James Belshaw. It is a positive step on many levels. Perhaps it is well overdue. Essie Kent, let's remember goalkeepers do not win games. We need goals. Gaza Lee, I'm not too delighted that Keller has left Notts. Killy are one of my Scottish teams. Bud Chatwin, if we had Stevie Carter, that's a name from the past, and Andy Legg, I bet Pato would consider a back four and play wingers. Rosemary Mans counters, not letting in goals helps us go up. Most managers, head coaches, will tell you that a goalkeeper is worth a certain number of points a season because of the saves that they make. Goalkeepers can often turn defeats into draws. Jimmy Cyril, if you didn't concede, you didn't lose. Apologies for the terrible East Glaswegian Jimmy accent. Ian Cooksey, Iwanzi and Robinson have joined Kettering this week on loan. I've not seen that, have they? Okay. Gets them adult football, which is good. Gary Phillips, we should have signed Belshaw 3 years ago instead of Aidan Stone. That was horrendously poor judgment at the time, unfortunately. Yeah, James had made an offer at that time that he was keen to come back to Notts in a not dissimilar way that David McGoldrick came back, but Notts didn't follow that up at the time and went in instead for Aidan, and that was kind of a sequence of goalkeepers that were brought in that Sam Slocum proceeded to see off at various points over the next 3 years. There's another point on fixtures, and I didn't realise this until I was just thumbing through and making sure I'd got my tickets and travel and all the rest of it. Here's one for you. have you realised? So we all feel starved of our football fix at Meadow Lane. It seems an eternity since New Year's Day. Well, as I top this up, after Saturday at Crawley, we've got, of our next 5 games, we've got 4 home games in 15 days. 4 home games in 2 weeks. Crewe at home on the 24th, followed in midweek 3 days later by Swindon. So that's 2 in 4 days. Then we're away at Fleetwood on the 31st. And we've got another 2 home games in 4 days. Midweek at home to Gillingham on the 3rd. Barrow at home on February the 7th. So that's 4 home games in 15 days. 4 home out of 5. Let's hope we do better than a couple of the home back-to-backs we've managed in previous times. And after that run of 4 home in 5, we go to Bromley on the 14th. Valentine's Day. That's a test for everyone. Who's not going to Bromley away because it's Valentine's? Yeah, well, obviously, I've not stuck my hand up. I will be at Bromley. I'm one of the 497 or whatever it is. But yeah, so I think that little mini run will be quite interesting. Will be quite interesting for us. It's certainly an opportunity to pick some points up. And if you're serious about going up, you don't want to be missing out on not getting a fair number of wins from those 4 home games in 5 days. SE Kent, even if we do not concede, we couldn't go up without winning. Oh, absolutely. But SE, look, we've got the 2 top strikers, or striking combination in the division, haven't we? I know Michael Cheek, as a one-off, is the top striker in the division based on his goals, and that's what else can you judge a striker by? But as a 2 strikers, I'd much rather they be here than us selling one of them. And so far, fingers crossed, we've got both of them. Ian Cooksey, Barrow on February the 7th will be the first home Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff since the Colchester game in November. And just this is very early doors for that game. Barrow, 3 o'clock on that Saturday. The navigation are opening up over the road, and we're going to have a little bit of a meet-up with myself, 1 or 2 other special guests, the Magpie Circle crew, in over the road before kickoff, something like 1:30 onwards. Free admission, obviously, and we'll be doing a few bits and pieces, and also pre-promoting the Jim O'Brien night, which is on that Thursday afterwards on the 12th. So come along, say hi, and have a chat over the road. The new venue underneath the Jimmy and Cluffy mural is opening formally for Notts fans on that particular Saturday. Michael Fido, I see Milton Keynes Dons have got another Derby player in Curtis Nelson. Yet Paul Warne obviously going back to players he knows. And clearly, if you're MK Dons, he can afford them as well. SE Kent, my husband has got us tickets with a love heart. I'm presuming you mean Bromley for that. Adam Kent. Yeah, we managed to get the Bromley tickets just last night. Gazzalee, anyone watch the Inoro YouTube videos? He's got a stunning goal celebration, the same as Quavin Castro at York. Yeah, that was a goal and a half at York, wasn't it? What a stinger Exocet missile that was. Magic Boots, Ghana. No, I'm not missing out on Bromley. It's the only unvisited ground in this league for myself and Mrs. Magic Boots. Yeah, it's very nice, Bromley's ground, in the sense that it's in a big park back of I think it's a David Lloyd gym, isn't it? And there's a cricket square behind it, big open spaces. It's very middle class. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Where are we? Gary Phillips, how many players do we have out of contract at the end of this season? We seem to hand most players 2 or 3 year deals with options for more in our favour. I think there's quite a few, and there's certainly quite a few defenders out of contract. Kellen Gordon, Matty Platt, Jacob Beddoe, I think Lewis Macari, not 100% sure on that, and Nick Cerula. So I think it's virtually the entire backline and Rob McDonald. I think it's all of them. I think stand to be corrected. I think Lucas Ness has got another year. I think Lucas Ness has got another year. Ian Cooksey, Harbottle, who scored against us in the playoffs, has today signed for Bristol Rovers. I mean, there's lots of transfers up and down the country at the moment. Grimsby, I guess, have caught the eye a little bit with the signing of Cook from Bradford. Good signing for them. I guess that's one of the benefits of having a good cup run, isn't it? Because Grimsby obviously made a financial killing when they beat Manchester United in the League Cup, and they are through to round 4 of the FA Cup. So I would guesstimate they've probably made $500,000 to $750,000 in these 2 cup runs so far. There's a lot of money to be made in cups, and I just hope in future years, that the Nest is a great vehicle to generate funds and looks good on the balance sheet for the club. But you want to make real money in football, you want cup runs. You want cup runs. Prize money, television monies now is substantial. It really is, and it's more or less give a few quid to the players for bonuses. It's net profit because you're playing contracts are players for the season, not how many games they play. Adam Kent, I've been meaning to ask. What does it mean when you have the option of contract extension in the club's favour? Ian Cooksey has replied before I've had a chance to explain. It means it's down to the club whether they extend it or not. Yeah. So the power, Adam, lies with the player. And this, I think, was an interesting debating point with Alassane Jatta in the summer. So technically, his contract was up this summer, but the club had the option and the club had the power to either extend that contract or not extend it. Once they extend the contract, the player can't turn that down. So, in the case of Alassane, there was a lot of debate about whether he was going to move or not, but Notts offered, exercised another an extension for him. So, as Ian has said, the power lies with the club to decide what happens, not the player. Andy Easom, I'd like to do Bromley as it's on my birthday. Unlikely to be the amount of seats I need, so probably won't be there, unfortunately. My other half and somewhat reluctant taxi driver, Dawn, will be very pleased. Michael Fido, wasn't Cook at Grimsby before? Not 100% sure, to be honest with you, Michael. But I think that's a decent signing for Grimsby. I think that's a decent signing. Fleetwood have splashed some cash, haven't they? Gary Neville, one day's talking about sustainability of football clubs and owners spending money beyond the means. Next day, he's writing out a 6-figure check for one of the worst 3 supported clubs in League Two, with presumably wages to match for that player. You can't beat it, can you? You can't beat it. Okay, we're coming up towards the end of the show now, unless there's anything else burning that you would like to discuss. As I said before, trains are up the spout tomorrow. So if you're coming by trains, it's something like 4 changes and a bus replacement from East Grinstead to Crawley. So good luck with that, and even better luck going home. All of those on supporters, coaches, transport, safe journey down. I would think by the time you've had a stop, it's a good 4 hours each way. So I'm told we've done about 700 for tomorrow at Crawley, which I think is a really good effort, because it's, you know, one of the more inaccessible places for us to get to. Thank you one and all, as always. Thank you to our official partners, the Big Shed at the Trent Navigation and Over the Road, and also to our official partners, JH Accountants. For those of you year end, filling out your tax forms, we've got a special offer for you from JH Accountants. I'll be announcing all of that on Monday evening, when Mark Stallard will be joining us. We'll be doing a vlog from the game tomorrow, so that should be up by 6 o'clock, and I will be back on Sunday morning for the Sunday supplement. It's getting busy again. No football for 2 weeks, and now we're going to be having twice a week for probably 6 out of the next 7 weeks. Is it? I think I counted out, or 6 out of the next 8. So you're going to be getting your fix of football, both home and away. Thank you again. I'll look out for you all at Crawley tomorrow. I will be here bright and early. I shall be having a breakfast at the Premier Inn where I am. Do it in style, and hopefully Richard Stanton will be giving me a lift home. If not, it's a long walk or an even longer set of train rides home. Take care, everyone. See you all soon. Cheers for now. Bye bye.